What's up, everybody? What's up, MGTOW? So this video is gonna be my 2 cents on the whole reparations debate that's going on. So if I do have any other black people in the audience here, I'll completely understand if you unsubscribe after this video. It's been a good ride though so far. Thanks, brothers. But seriously though, I guess when it comes to my thoughts on the whole reparations thing, it comes down to kind of like 3 categories, which would be the ethical considerations, the political considerations, and the logistical considerations of it. Now, ethically, it's not really for me to answer, but I guess the question comes up of, do 2 wrongs make a right? Because while yes, the state was used to enslave or create laws that enslave black people at the time, now demanding that people pay taxes directly to black people is using the state force to take people's property and redistribute it to other people, which isn't quite as egregious as physical slavery, of course, but still, the people that will be subjugated to this or subject to this taxation did not own any slaves. So there is a bit of an ethical concern there, because do 2 wrongs make a right is the question. And sometimes maybe they do, sometimes maybe they don't. I personally don't think that 2 wrongs make a right in this instance. So then if we look at the logistical considerations, there's very many logistical considerations. Now, Big J XXX has been covering a lot of the logistical considerations on his channel and some pretty long live streams, so I'll put a link to his channel and you can check out what he has to say, because I think he covers a lot of the logistical considerations of reparations in a pretty objective way. So now, again, it's kind of like an ethical question, because should the slaves have received some type of recompensation for the labor that they provided involuntarily? And the answer to that is, of course, yes. Of course, you know, if you force somebody to work for you, you should pay them, at least pay them after you force them to work for you. I mean, it sounds stupid, but yeah. But logistically, the record keeping at the time in the late 1700s and early 1800s, combined with the fact that black families were broken up and genealogy was very hard to trace and still is, even with genetic testing, you still can't tell where somebody was 200 years ago and what they were doing just by testing their genetics. So that just in itself brings up a huge plethora of problems that could be presented trying to distribute this reparations money to people that are supposed to be the descendants of slaves. Now, on top of all that, I mean, you've got to take into consideration the fact that a large portion of Americans either didn't own slaves or were actually fighting against slavery in the Civil War. And so should people that their ancestors laid down their life to end slavery, should they have to pay extra taxes to black people now? I mean, it kind of doesn't seem right. And then with the Southerners that actually did own slaves, I'm going to assume that after the Civil War, a lot of their property was, you know, burnt to the ground and cannonballed up and all this other stuff. And so they probably didn't have a lot of property to distribute to the leftover slaves or freed slaves at this point. And so that in itself was kind of a problem. And yeah, sure, there are some big companies like Aetna and a couple other companies that definitely were corporations back then that are still corporations now that own slaves. And maybe they should come up with some money, definitely, if somebody can come up with some records. But that's a problem. It's like the records. I mean, most black people couldn't really read and write back then. So to find, you know, intricate bookkeeping of slaves, of their genealogy and where they were working and what they were doing when they were working. I mean, it's not realistic. It doesn't exist. So again, you know, trying to tax or get some type of property from the descendants of people who owned slaves, again, it's an ethical problem. But in the case where it could clearly be proven that, you know, descendants of your family worked for free for these people, I mean, I think that there's a case there. Like, if you have some type of records, like even some type of family records showing that your family members were at this plantation or at this place or wherever, and they're sold here or bought here or something like that, I mean, that I think that's worth something. But just to say, oh, hey, I'm black and I'm in the United States, give me money, it just doesn't. I mean, I'm not going to be involved in it. I mean, if you want to do it, I mean, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to say anything negative about it, but I mean, free money always comes with strings attached. Now, this kind of brings me to the third consideration, which is the political consideration. And to me, politically, this is the stupidest thing that black people could ever ask for. And it's not for the reason that you think. Now, some of the quote-unquote elders in the black manosphere, I won't say who, some of the masters, though, of the black manosphere who are pushing for this reparations so hard, I would think that they would have already gotten the picture. I mean, you already heard Elizabeth Warren talking about gay reparations, so we can already see where this is going. Because, honestly, I think that most white people assume that welfare and affirmative action is the closest thing that they're ever going to give black people as reparations. I mean, they're already paying out money to single mothers living in the hood or whatever, and they're putting black people and Latinos in job positions over their own children. I mean, what else do you want from them? You know, I mean, yeah, maybe the cops could stop shooting people, but maybe people could stop selling crack cocaine and stuff too. I mean, you know, maybe a little compromise there. But I digress. So, on one hand, politically, you're pissing off white people. So, you're wondering why Tara McCarthy wants to, quote-unquote, forcefully remove all the coffee and chocolate people from the United States. Well, maybe it's because you're running a political campaign to tax her husband, and then that's going to be less money for her to get. Which I don't really care about her, but you can see why that would cause it. I mean, the way that politics is going already with the racial stuff, it's like, do you really want to poke the hornet's nest and start pissing off every white person, and especially every white guy in the entire country? Because that's what you're saying. You're saying, hey, workaday white guy who can barely get his bills paid, and you know, you're running behind on this, and your wife wants that, and you can't get it to her. But you know what? You owe me money from something that didn't happen to me, and you better pay up now. So do you think that that's going to move more white people over to your kind of side of things, or less white people? You think more white people are going to say, hey, you know what, this whole low taxes and less government thing sounds really good, and I can get guns to keep the black people that want to take my stuff. Maybe I'll join this side. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, just looking at the way things are going and have been going, and the fact that you're now going to demand even more money when inflation is through the roof, people's savings is at the lowest it's ever been, like in American history, job numbers are very low. I mean, sure, the employment rate is high, but the actual amount of employed people is going down, down, and down. So you got all this stuff, automation's coming in, all the truckers are going to lose their job, and your response to that is, give me free money. Give me free money. I deserve it because I'm black. But I'm not racist. You're the racist because you're white. So give me free money because I'm black, but I'm not racist. Okay. So that's the one side of things, to pissing off white people. And then we wonder why there's a divide between MGTOW and IBMOR. And to me, it doesn't seem like it's a racial divide. It's a political divide, because the IBMOR side is more communist and the MGTOW side is more individualist. And so that's where the divide, it's not about black or white or anything like that. It seems to be more, you know, if people in IBMOR are calling for reparations, and you know that one of white men's biggest problems is having to pay all these taxes, that you're saying to white men, you're saying, I don't give a fuck about you. Fuck you, white man. You know, give me my fucking money that I didn't earn. Just fuck you. I mean, it's just not, I mean, it's not helping. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, it sounds like the most elegant thing ever. Oh yeah, get this money paid forward from, you know, the work and stuff that our ancestors put into this country and didn't really get recognized for. But like, logistically, it's a fucking nightmare. Then you got on the second thing, just the actual political thing. If, let's just say, if this actually gets through, we've already seen what happened with the Great Society Project, with affirmative action. Did any of these things help black people? I'll wait. Yeah, it was right. Exactly. No, the Great Society did not help black people. Welfare does not help black people. I mean, affirmative action might help some black people, but which ones did it help? Black females. Affirmative action helped white females. You see where I'm going with this, right? So then when we sign in a bill or an amendment to the Constitution or whatever we're going to sign that says people that were oppressed by the white man get free money. Guess who's going to get that free money? Who's going to get the free money? You think it's going to be, you know, Tyrone on the block and JoJo and Man them and all them? They're oh yeah, write a check out to Man right now for $10,000. You really, so you think that the white people are crazy racist, right? And they hate all black people. But then they're going to sign over a $10,000 check to Man and shut down their corporation because 300 years ago, their great-great-great-great-grandpappy owned some slaves. Right. So when they do get the money, let's just say they magically print another $1 trillion or whatever, however much money they're going to print. And then they sign this bill that says, whoever was oppressed by the white man gets money. So guess what's going to happen? It's going to be gay reparations. All the money's going to go to lesbian, overweight white women. And maybe they'll do like a 10% kickback to black women and Latino women. And that's it. Asian women will probably not even get anything because their husbands make too much money. And then that's it. They'll be like, oh, you guys get a 10% kickback, all the rest of it. Because think about it. According to the overarching logic of society, you know, black people, they were just enslaved. You know, they got whipped. They had to work in cotton fields in 100 and something degree. I mean, compare that to what the white woman had to go through. She had to cook and clean for the white man. She had to suck the white man's dick. And of course, we know that all sex is rape. Well, whenever a man has sex, it's rape. So white men have been raping white women since the dawn of time. So who's been more oppressed by the white man? Black guys who just, you know, they got whipped a couple times, they had to pick some cotton, or the white woman who was, you know, she had to suck the white man's dick just to survive. She had to, you know, have his children and clean his room and cook his food every day for her whole life as her wife slave thing that women imagine that's what it is. So you really think that when you get all this force behind it from black people and they sign all this free money over, just like affirmative action was supposed to get all these jobs for young black men And just like with welfare was supposed to improve the quality of the black family, all right? And reparations, they're just going to sign checks over to Man and Tay and Riri. They're just going to sign those checks, right? You really fucking think that shit. You really, in your mind, you're imagining fucking Donald Trump or whoever, when the Democrats get in office, they're just going to sit down at the desk and be like, Man Smith and Tyrone Biggums and everybody, we're just signing checks left and right and throw it. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, where are you living? Like, do you think this is really going to fucking happen? Yeah. Black people are just like, give us money. And white people are like, oh yeah, the country's going down the fucking shitter. We're all broke except for like the top 10% of people. And guess what we got to do? We got to sign checks over to fucking black people. Yeah, that's going to be so good. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. So yeah, I'm going to get out of here with that. All y'all have a good day and go MGTOW.